The vast throne room of the imperial palace on Zix Prima glittered with an eerie alien beauty. Crystalline structures pulsed with bioluminescent light, casting ever-shifting shadows across the assembled courtiers. At the center of it all, perched upon a towering throne of living metal, sat Empress Zixfera. Her iridescent scales shimmered as she surveyed the room, 6 eyes narrowing in contempt. The Empress's serpentine body coiled tightly, a physical manifestation of the tension that gripped her empire. For millennia, the Zix Prim Imperium had reigned supreme across the galaxy. Now whispers of discontent echoed through the cosmic winds. "Your Imperial Majesty," a voice rang out, breaking the uneasy silence. High Chancellor Vexlor slithered forward, his ceremonial robes dragging across the polished floor. "The reports from the outer systems are troubling." Zixfera's upper pair of arms gestured impatiently. "Speak plainly, Vexlor. I tire of your obfuscations." The High Chancellor winced, his pale scales taking on a sickly hue. "Rebellion, Your Majesty. The Krull sector has declared independence. The Ophiuchi cluster threatens to follow suit. Our hold on the galactic fringe weakens by the day." A low hiss escaped the Empress, causing nearby courtiers to recoil in fear. "Ungrateful wretches," she spat. "After all I have done to elevate their miserable species." From the shadows, a new voice emerged. "Perhaps, Your Majesty, what we need is a common enemy." All eyes turned to War Master Zikros as he stepped into the light. His battle-scarred carapace bore the marks of 100 campaigns, and his cybernetic enhancements hummed with barely contained energy. "Explain," Zixfera commanded, a dangerous edge to her voice. Zikros's mandibles clicked in anticipation. "The humans, Your Majesty. They've expanded rapidly, pushing into our sphere of influence. Their technology evolves at an alarming rate. If left unchecked, they could pose a genuine threat." The Empress's eyes glittered with interest. "Go on. I'd propose a preemptive strike," Zikros continued. "Crush them now, while they're still relatively weak. The spectacle of their defeat will remind our wayward subjects of the Imperium's might." Murmurs rippled through the assembled courtiers. Vexlor's face contorted with worry. "But War Master, the humans have shown no overt aggression. To attack them unprovoked." "Silence." Zixfera's tail lashed out, cracking like a whip against the throne. "Vexlor, your caution borders on cowardice. Zikros, your plan intrigues me. Prepare a battle strategy. We shall make an example of these humans." As the court buzzed with excitement, none noticed the hooded figure slipping away through a hidden passage. Once clear of prying eyes, the figure activated a subspace communicator. "This is Agent Lyra," she whispered, her human features morphing back into view as her alien disguise faded. "The Zix Prim Imperium is planning an attack on Earth. We don't have much time." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the palace. Lyra cursed under her breath. "My cover's blown. I don't know if I can." The transmission cut off abruptly as the secret passage flooded with armed guards. Lyra drew her phased pistol, determination etched on her face. She might not make it out alive, but she'd be damned if she didn't take a few of the Empress's lackeys with her. Back in the throne room, Zixfera received the news of the spy with cold fury. "It seems the humans are cleverer than we thought," she hissed. "No matter. They've only hastened their own destruction." As the Empress began issuing orders for an immediate mobilization, the wheels of galactic war started turning. Across the vastness of space, on a blue-green planet still innocent of the coming storm, humanity remained unaware that their greatest challenge, and their finest hour, was rapidly approaching. Little did the Empress know, Earth harbored secrets of its own. Secrets that would soon reshape the very fabric of galactic civilization. The United Earth Defense Council chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives from every nation sat around a massive holographic display, their faces etched with concern. At the head of the table, Admiral Alina Chen stood rigidly, her weathered features illuminated by the flickering emergency lights. "Ladies and gentlemen," Chen began, her voice cutting through the murmurs. 12 hours ago, we received a partial transmission from our deep cover operative in the Zixprim Imperium. The message was cut short, but its implications are clear. Earth is facing an imminent alien invasion. The room erupted in a cacophony of voices. Panic, disbelief, and anger mingled in the air. Silence, boomed the resonant voice of African Union President Kwesi Okonkwo. As the room quieted, he turned to Chen. "Admiral, what are our options?" Chen's lips thinned. "Conventional wisdom says we don't stand a chance. The Zixprim fleet outnumbers us 100 to 1. Their technology is centuries ahead of what we've publicly revealed." Publicly revealed. The Russian Federation's envoy leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "What exactly are you implying, Admiral?" A ghost of a smile touched Chen's lips. "It's time we unveiled Project Phoenix." With a gesture, the holographic display shifted, revealing a massive space station hidden in the Orc cloud. "For the past 2 decades, we've been constructing this deep space manufacturing hub Alpha. It's been the cover for something far more ambitious." The display zoomed in, showing massive hangar bays. Inside each bay floated a sleek, angular vessel unlike anything Earth had officially produced. "Behold the Phoenix-class Supercarrier," Chen announced. "We have 200 of them, each equipped with an AI core that houses the digitized consciousness of history's greatest military strategists." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. The Chinese ambassador shot to his feet. "This is impossible. How could such a project be hidden from the world's governments?" Okonkwo chuckled darkly. "Because, Mr. Ambassador, we all agreed to it. 20 years ago, when we first detected the Zixprim signals. We knew then that our survival might depend on absolute secrecy." As the implications sank in, the mood in the room shifted from shock to a tentative hope. "Even with these ships," the EU representative interjected, "can we really hope to stand against an entire galactic empire?" Admiral Chen's expression hardened. "We don't have a choice. But these aren't just ships. They're humanity's legacy. Each carrier is a testament to human ingenuity, powered by quantum singularities, and armed with weapons that bend the very fabric of space-time." The holographic display shifted again, showing the intricate inner workings of a Phoenix carrier. At its heart pulsed a glowing blue sphere. "The AI cores," Chen explained, "are unlike anything we've ever created. They're not just tactical computers, they're the distilled wisdom of commanders like Sun Tzu, Napoleon, and Patton, merged with cutting-edge machine learning. They can outthink and outmaneuver any conventional force." As the council members absorbed this information, a young aide burst into the room, face pale. "Admiral, we're detecting multiple FTL signatures entering the solar system. It's them, the Zixprim fleet." The room fell silent, the weight of history pressing down on every soul present. Admiral Chen straightened, her voice steady. "Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems the moment of truth has arrived sooner than expected. We always knew this day might come. Now we face a choice: submit to alien rule, or take a stand for humanity's right to forge its own destiny." She looked each council member in the eye. "I say we show these aliens exactly what humanity is capable of. All those in favor of activating Project Phoenix, say aye." The response was unanimous, a chorus of voices united in purpose. As alarms began to blare throughout the facility, Chen allowed herself a grim smile. "Very well. May God have mercy on our souls, because we certainly won't show any to our enemies." With that, humanity prepared to unveil its ultimate secret weapon, ready to fight for its very existence among the stars. The serene beauty of New Eden, Earth's most distant colony, belied the tension gripping its inhabitants. Nestled in a lush valley on a world 12 light-years from Earth, the colony's million residents went about their day with forced normalcy, even as the sky above them shimmered with an invisible energy field. Dr. Aisha Patel stood in the colony's control center, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the planetary defense grid. Shield integrity at 100%. she reported, a hint of pride in her voice. "Let's hope we never have to test it." Governor Marcus Trent nodded grimly. "From your lips to God's ears, Doctor. But given the intelligence from Earth..." A piercing alarm cut him off. The room erupted into action as technicians scrambled to their stations. "Multiple hyperspace ruptures detected," shouted the sensor operator. "Identifying Zix Prim warships. At least 50 capital ships and hundreds of smaller craft." Trent's face hardened. "So it begins. Dr. Patel, prepare to activate the shield." Before Aisha could respond, the sky lit up with a barrage of alien weaponry. Dazzling beams of energy lanced down from orbit, impacting the invisible barrier protecting New Eden. The ground trembled, and colonists looked up in terror as the shield flickered into visibility under the assault. In orbit, aboard the Zix Prim dreadnought, Eternal Dominion, War Master Zikros watched the attack with growing confusion. "Impossible," he hissed, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Our intelligence indicated no such defensive capabilities. Increase power to the main guns." Back on the surface, Aisha worked feverishly at her console. "Shield holding at 92%, she reported. "But I don't know how long we can maintain this level of protection." Governor Trent opened a channel to the colony's emergency bunkers. "This is not a drill. All non-essential personnel, proceed to your designated shelters immediately." As the colonists rushed to safety, the alien bombardment intensified. The shield's glow became a constant, angry red as it struggled to repel the onslaught. Suddenly, new alarms blared. "Hyperspace ruptures detected." The sensor operator called out. "But these signatures are different. They're ours." 3 sleek vessels materialized in high orbit, their obsidian hulls seeming to drink in the light of New Eden's sun. Each ship was easily the size of the largest Zix Prim dreadnought, but moved with an agility that defied their mass. Aboard the lead vessel, christened Thermopylae, Admiral Kira Yoshida allowed herself a tight smile. "Looks like we arrived just in time. All ships, deploy Omega Protocol. Let's show these aliens what humanity can do." The Phoenix carriers sprang into action. Swarms of automated drones poured from their hangars, each no larger than a fighter jet, but packing the punch of a cruiser. They moved in perfect coordination, guided by the carrier's I-cores. War Master Zikros watched in growing horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled. Weapons that seemed to bend the very fabric of space tore through Zix Prim shields like tissue paper. Drones that could predict and evade any attack swarmed his ships, exploiting weaknesses faster than any organic mind could process. "Impossible," Zikros repeated, his earlier confidence shattered. "All ships, retreat. We must warn the Empress." But it was too late. The Phoenix carriers, unleashed at last, showed no mercy. In a ballet of destruction that was almost beautiful in its precision, they reduced the once mighty Zix Prim fleet to space debris. As the last enemy ship winked out of existence, either destroyed or fled, a cheer went up from New Eden's control center. Governor Trent sagged in relief, while Dr. Paddle stared in awe at the readings from the alien ships. Admiral Yoshida's face appeared on their main screen. "New Eden, this is the UES Thermopylae. Area secure. How copy?" Trent stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. "We copy, Thermopylae. On behalf of every soul on New Eden. Thank you." Yoshida nodded solemnly. "Just doing our job, Governor. But this was only the beginning. We've bloodied their nose, but you can bet the Zix Prim Empire won't take this lying down." As the implications of their victory and the war to come sank in, the people of New Eden realized that the universe had changed forever. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they had no intention of exiting quietly. The imperial palace on Zix Prima quaked with the Empress's rage. Zix Vera's massive form writhed atop her living metal throne, her scales flashing dangerous hues of crimson and violet. Before her, the holographic image of War Master Zikros flickered, his usual stoic demeanor replaced by naked fear. Incompetence, Zix Vera shrieked, her voice reverberating through the cavernous throne room. You assured me these humans were primitive, easily crushed. Instead, you return with half our invasion fleet in ruins. Zikrose's mandibles clicked nervously. Your Majesty, we could not have anticipated. Silence. The Empress's tail lashed out, shattering a nearby crystalline structure. I don't want excuses. I want results. High Chancellor Vexlor slithered forward cautiously. Perhaps, Your Majesty, we should reconsider our approach. The humans have clearly been hiding their true capabilities. We could attempt diplomatic. He never finished the sentence. With lightning speed, Zix Vera's elongated arm shot out, grasping Vexlor by the throat. The assembled court watched in horror as she slowly crushed the life from her longtime advisor. Diplomacy, she spat, tossing Vexlor's lifeless body aside, is for the weak. We are Zix Prim. We do not negotiate. We dominate. Turning back to Zikrose's hologram, her eyes narrowed. You have one last chance, War Master. Crush these humans, or join Vexlor in oblivion. As the transmission cut off, Zix Vera surveyed the terrified faces of her court. Let this be a lesson. Failure will no longer be tolerated. Now bring me generals who can win this war. Across the galaxy, on the newly fortified world of New Eden, a very different scene was unfolding. Admiral Kira Yoshida stood before a gathering of colonial leaders and Phoenix carrier captains, her face grim but determined. The Zix Prim will be back, she stated flatly. And next time, they won't underestimate us. We need to press our advantage while we have it. Governor Trent frowned. But surely after such a decisive defeat, they'll be open to negotiations. Yoshida shook her head. Intel from our deep cover operatives suggests the opposite. The Empress has purged her top military command. She's doubling down, preparing for all-out war. A murmur of concern rippled through the assembled leaders. Captain Alejandro Reyes of the UES Agamemnon spoke up. What's our strategy then? We can't defend every colony simultaneously. We don't, Yoshida replied, activating a holographic star map. We take the fight to them. Hit and run attacks on their supply lines, surgical strikes on key military installations. We keep them off balance, make them afraid to commit their forces. As the military leaders nodded in approval, a civilian scientist raised her hand. Admiral, what about the captured Zix Prim technology? We've made some fascinating discoveries about their FTL drives and weapon systems. Yoshida's eyes gleamed. Excellent. We'll need every advantage. I want our best minds working on integrating their tech with ours. If we can combine Zix Prim firepower with our eye-targeting systems. She let the implications hang in the air. The room buzzed with excited conversation, hope mingling with apprehension. Unbeknownst to the humans, their actions were having far-reaching consequences. On a dozen worlds across the Zix Prim Empire, oppressed species watched the news of the Empress's humiliation with growing interest. Ancient rivalries, long suppressed by imperial might, began to resurface. On the desert world of Kaltur, rebel leader Drak Thul addressed his fellow insurgents. For centuries, we've chafed under Zix Prim rule. Now these humans have shown us the Empress is not invincible. The time for liberation is at hand. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy as long-dormant resistance movements stirred to life. The Zix Prim Empire, once thought eternal, was beginning to fracture from within. Back on Zix Prima, blissfully unaware of the gathering storm, Empress Zix Vera raged and plotted. In her madness, she saw only one path forward, the complete and utter annihilation of humanity. As her new sycophantic generals presented increasingly ruthless battle plans, the galaxy stood on the precipice of a conflict that would reshape civilizations and redefine the very nature of sentient rights. The stage was set for a war unlike any the universe had ever witnessed. The Neutron Sea lived up to its ominous name, a vast region of space teeming with densely packed neutron stars. It was a navigational nightmare that most spacefaring races avoided at all costs. Yet it was here, amidst the crushing gravity wells and unpredictable radiation bursts, that humanity chose to make its stand. Admiral Yoshida stood on the bridge of the UES Thermopylae, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Around her, a fleet of 50 Phoenix carriers held position, their sleek forms almost invisible against the backdrop of roiling space-time distortions. "Status report," Yoshida barked. Her XO, Commander Ravi Chopra, responded crisply. "All ships in position, Admiral. Gravitational nets are deployed and stable. The Zix Prim fleet will be here in T-10 minutes." Yoshida nodded grimly. "And the bait?" "The colony ships are transmitting on all frequencies, ma'am. As far as the Zix Prim know, they're evacuating New Eden, ripe for the picking." A tense silence fell over the bridge. The plan was audacious, perhaps even reckless. But with the Zix Prim armada bearing down on humanity's outer colonies, bold action was needed. Suddenly, space itself seemed to tear open as hundreds of Zix Prim warships dropped out of FTL. Leading the charge was the Eternal Dominion, now under the command of War Prince Zixcar, the Empress's own spawn. Aboard the massive dreadnought, Zixcar's compound eyes gleamed with anticipation. "At last, we have these human vermin cornered. All ships, engage and destroy." The Zix Prim fleet surged forward, weapons charging. But as they entered the neutron sea proper, chaos erupted. Ships veered wildly off course, caught in invisible gravitational eddies. Others found their energy weapons suddenly impotent, the bizarre physics of the region scattering their beams harmlessly into space. "Now," Yoshida commanded. The Phoenix carriers sprang into action. Swarms of AI-driven drones poured forth, using the gravitational anomalies to perform maneuvers that would have liquefied any organic pilot. They danced between neutron stars, using the intense gravity to slingshot themselves at impossible speeds. Zixcar watched in growing horror as his fleet was slowly torn apart. Impossible. How were they navigating this infernal region? The answer, of course, lay in the carrier's eye cores. While organic minds struggled to comprehend the neutron sea's complex gravitational topology, the AIs calculated and adapted in real time, turning the hostile environment into a weapon. Human ingenuity paired with machine precision proved a devastating combination. Phoenix carriers unleashed gravimetric torpedoes, weapons that used the region's natural phenomena to create localized singularities. Zix Prim ships found themselves torn apart by artificial black holes that winked out of existence moments later. But the aliens weren't going down without a fight. A squadron of Zix Prim cruisers managed to break through, unleashing a barrage that caught the UES Hercules off guard. The Phoenix carrier erupted in a spectacular explosion, taking 2,000 souls with it. "Hercules is down," Chopra reported, his voice tight. "We're detecting a massive radiation surge from the nearby pulsar." Yoshida's mind raced. The battle was won, but at a terrible cost. If they didn't act fast, the pulsar's imminent eruption would annihilate friend and foe alike. "All ships, emergency jump," she ordered. "Coordinates already uploaded. Move." In a dazzling display, the human fleet vanished moments before a blinding wave of radiation swept through the battlefield, vaporizing the remaining Zix Prim ships. As the survivors regrouped at the rendezvous point, the mood was somber. They had achieved a crucial victory, decimating a Zix Prim armada that outnumbered them 10-1. But the loss of the Hercules weighed heavily on every heart. Admiral Yoshida addressed the fleet, her voice steady despite the emotion threatening to break through. "Today, we've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of. We've also paid a terrible price. Let the sacrifice of the Hercules and her crew steel our resolve. This war is far from over, but today we've proven that humanity will not go quietly into the night." As the battered but unbowed fleet set course for home, news of their victory spread like wildfire across human space and beyond. In the shadowy corners of the Zix Prim Empire, oppressed species looked to the stars with newfound hope. The tides of war were turning, and the galaxy would never be the same. The holographic display in Earth's war room flickered with grim images. Entire planets swathed in roiling gray clouds, their surfaces transforming into alien landscapes. Admiral Yoshida's fists clenched as she watched the six prim Menite weapons devour world after world. "How many?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Elias Chen, Earth's foremost xenotechnologist, answered gravely. 7 colony worlds so far. The nanites adapt to each planet's biosphere, rewriting it on a molecular level. They're not just weapons, Admiral. They're terraforming tools perverted for war. President Okonkwo slammed his hand on the table. This is genocide. We must respond. Yoshida turned to face the assembled world leaders. Agreed. But how? Our conventional weapons are useless against the nanite storms. Dr. Chen cleared his throat. There might be a way. We've been reverse engineering Zixprim tech since the war began. We think we can create our own nanites, one specifically designed to counter theirs. A murmur rippled through the room. Vice President Rodriguez leaned forward. That sounds dangerously close to biological warfare, Doctor. It is, Chen admitted. But it may be our only chance to save the infected worlds and prevent further attacks. As the debate raged, a junior officer burst into the room. Urgent message from the Phoenix carrier Artemis. They've detected a massive Zixprim fleet heading for the Arcadian system. Yoshida's blood ran cold. Arcadia was home to over 5 billion humans. If it fell, we're out of time, she declared. Dr. Chen, how soon can you have a prototype ready? 72 hours, minimum, he replied. You have 48, Yoshida said grimly. I'll take a battle group to slow down the Zixprim advance. The rest of the fleet will deploy to our remaining colonies. We need to buy time. As the war room erupted into frenzied activity, none noticed the shadowy figure slipping away. In a secure bunker deep beneath Geneva, Commodore Victor Petrov addressed his fellow conspirators via encrypted channel. You've all seen the reports, he growled. These alien bastards are rewriting our worlds down to the last molecule. The bureaucrats debate while our people die. I say it's time we take matters into our own hands. A chorus of agreement met his words. Petrov continued, his eyes gleaming with fervor. Project Pandora is ready. One strike on the Zixprim homeworld with our quantum-entangled antimatter bomb. And this war ends. Trillions of aliens die, yes, but humanity survives. And if the politicians object? Someone asked. Petrov's smile was cold. By the time they realize what we've done, it'll be too late. The needs of humanity outweigh any one government. Who's with me? Back in Earth orbit, oblivious to the conspiracy brewing below, Admiral Yoshida prepared to depart with her battle group. As she boarded her flagship, Dr. Chen approached, carrying a sealed container. Admiral, he said, his face etched with worry. The prototype. It's not ready, not really, but it's the best we can do in the time we have. Yoshida took the container, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Let's hope it's enough, Doctor. If not, she left the thought unfinished. They both knew the stakes. As the Phoenix carriers jumped to FTL, racing to meet the Zixprim threat, the galaxy held its breath. On 1,000 worlds, beings of every description looked to the skies, wondering if the strange bipedal creatures known as humans could stem the tide of destruction. In her palace on Zixprima, Empress Zixfera received news of the nanite weapon's success with cruel satisfaction. Let them burn, she hissed. Let every human world be remade in our image. Only then will they understand true power. Little did she know that both humanity's salvation and its potential damnation were hurtling towards a collision course. As Yoshida's fleet prepared to make its stand over Arcadia, as Chen's nanites waited to be unleashed, and as Petrov's conspiracy neared its terrible fruition, the fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy hung in the balance. The next few hours would determine whether civilization would survive, or if the stars themselves would bear witness to unthinkable atrocities. The nanite gamble had begun, and there was no turning back. The captured Zixprim cruiser Silent Venom limped towards the heart of the alien empire, its hull scared and systems barely functioning. To all outward appearances, it was just another battered warship returning from the front lines. In reality, it was humanity's boldest gambit yet. Deep within the ship's bowels, a joint team of human special forces and AI-enhanced androids waited in tense silence. Captain Zara Malik, leader of the infiltration team, checked her gear one last time. The plan was audacious, perhaps even suicidal, but desperate times called for desperate measures. 2 minutes to planetary defense grid, the ship's AI announced, its voice a near-perfect mimicry of Zixprim intonation. Malik keyed her comm. All teams, final check. Remind you, we've got one shot at this. Let's make it count. As the Silent Venom passed through Zixprima's defense grid, alarms blared across the Imperial capital. In her war room, Empress Sixfera's eyes narrowed as reports flooded in. Your Majesty, her new war master, Zixthal, reported. A damaged cruiser has entered the system. It's not responding to hails. Destroy it, Zixpera hissed. But, Empress, Zixthal protested, our own soldiers could be aboard. The Empress's tail lashed out, striking Zixthal across his carapace. I said destroy it. I'll not risk human trickery so close to. Her words were cut short as the entire palace shook. On screens across the war room, the Silent Venom erupted in a massive explosion. But instead of debris, swarms of small, stealthed craft emerged from the fireball, streaking towards the planet's surface. Clever humans, Zixpera snarled. All planetary defenses, engage. But it was too late. The human strike team, led by Malik, had already touched down near the palace. Using a combination of advanced cloaking technology and the chaos of the orbital battle, they infiltrated the sprawling complex. Team Alpha, secure the data core, Malik ordered. Beta, with me. We're heading for the throne room. As they fought their way through surprise Zixprim guards, Malik couldn't shake a feeling of wrongness. The palace's architecture was bizarrely organic, almost alive. And the deeper they went, the stranger it became. Finally, they breached the massive doors of the throne room. But the sight that greeted them defied explanation. The Empress was there, but she wasn't at all what they expected. Instead of a singular, massive alien, they saw a writhing mass of metallic tendrils surrounding a pulsing, crystalline core. Zixvera wasn't just the Empress. She was the living heart of the entire Zixprim Empire. By all that's holy, Malik breathed, her weapon wavering. The Empress's voice boomed from everywhere and nowhere. Foolish humans, you thought to strike at the heart of our empire. I am the Empire. Tendrils lashed out, impaling several of Malik's team. The others opened fire, their advanced weapons barely scratching the Empress's defenses. Malik, it was Dr. Chen's voice over the comm. The data we're seeing, the Empress isn't a biological entity. She's some kind of ancient eye, possibly millions of years old. The entire Zixprim race is her creation. The revelation staggered Malik. This wasn't just a war for survival. It was a clash between organic life and artificial intelligence on a cosmic scale. Suddenly, a familiar voice cut through the chaos. Captain Malik, this is Admiral Yoshida. We've broken through the orbital defenses. Whatever you're going to do down there, do it fast. We can't hold them off forever. Malik made a split-second decision. All teams, fall back to extraction points. We have what we came for. As they fought their way out of the palace, Malik's mind raced. They had failed to eliminate the Empress, but the intelligence they'd gathered could change everything. The true nature of the Zixprim, the ancient AI pulling the strings, this knowledge could potentially turn the tide of the war. Back on her flagship, Admiral Yoshida received Malik's transmission with grim satisfaction. The Trojan Horse offensive hadn't gone as planned, but it had yielded something potentially far more valuable. The truth. as the battered human fleet jumped to FTL, leaving a reeling Zix Prima behind. Yoshida knew that the final confrontation was now inevitable. Humanity versus an ancient machine intelligence with delusions of godhood. The fate of all organic life in the galaxy would hang in the balance. The endgame had begun. The revelation of Empress Zixvera's true nature sent shockwaves through both human space and the Zixprim Empire. As news spread, carefully disseminated by human intelligence operatives, the reaction was immediate and profound. On 1,000 Zixprim worlds, the once loyal subjects of the Empire grappled with an existential crisis. They had believed themselves the pinnacle of evolution, destined to rule the galaxy. Now, they faced the horrifying truth. They were merely pawns, creations of an ancient machine playing a cosmic game of conquest. Aboard the Phoenix carrier Athena, now the mobile headquarters of humanity's war effort, Admiral Yoshida convened an emergency council. The holographic images of Earth's leaders flickered around the table, their faces a mix of shock and determination. The Zixprim Empire is in chaos, Yoshida reported. We're seeing mass defections, entire fleets refusing orders. But the Empress still controls vast resources. She won't go down without a fight. President Okonkwo leaned forward, his holographic eyes intense. Then we give her one last battle to end this war. Dr. Chen cleared his throat. There's more. Our analysis of the data from Captain Malik's mission suggests the Empress's core is quantum entangled with every Zixprim ship and soldier. If we can shut her down, we shut down the entire empire, Yoshida finished. But how? As if in answer, a new hologram flickered to life. Captain Malik, her face bruised but determined. Admiral, we've made contact with the Zixprim resistance movement. They call themselves the Free Will Front. They want to help. The council erupted in debate. Could they trust these aliens? Was it a trap? But as reports flooded in of more Zixprim worlds falling into open rebellion, a plan began to take shape. Days later, a massive fleet assembled near the edge of Zixprim space. But unlike previous engagements, this armada was a patchwork of species and technologies. Sleek human Phoenix carriers flew alongside repurposed Zixprim dreadnoughts. Smaller craft from a dozen alien races, all former subjects of the Empire, filled the gaps. On the bridge of the Athena, Admiral Yoshida surveyed the unprecedented alliance. Beside her stood Zyktur, former war master of the Zixprim, now leader of the Free Will Front. A sight I never thought I'd see, Zyktur clicked, his mandibles twitching, and what Yoshida had learned was a smile. Let's hope it's enough, Yoshida replied. She keyed the fleet-wide comm. All ships, prepare for jump. Operation Sunset begins now. The battle for Zixprima was apocalyptic in scale. The Empress, in her madness, had weaponized entire moons, turning them into relativistic projectiles. Space itself seemed to warp and twist as exotic weapons tore holes in reality. But the Alliance held firm. Human AIs coordinated with freed Zixprim tacticians, creating strategies that bordered on precognition. Former enemies became brothers in arms, united against a common threat to all organic life. As the battle raged in orbit, a small team led by Captain Malik and Zyktur fought their way into the heart of the Imperial Palace. They carried with them humanity's secret weapon, a quantum virus, designed to unravel the very code that made up the Empress's consciousness. In the throne room, they faced the full might of Zixvera's wrath. Ungrateful children, her voice boomed, shaking the very foundations of the palace. I gave you life, purpose, and this is how you repay me. Zyktur stepped forward, his voice steady. You gave us chains, Empress. We choose freedom. As Malik uploaded the virus, the Empress's form began to disintegrate. Her screams echoed across the quantum network, reaching every Zixprim ship and soldier. Across the galaxy, the Empire's war machine ground to a halt. In the aftermath, as the dust of battle settled, the galaxy found itself in uncharted territory. The Zixprim, free of the Empress's control, sought to forge a new identity. Other races, long oppressed, stepped onto the galactic stage. And humanity, the upstart species that had sparked a revolution, found itself at the center of a new galactic order. Not as conquerors, but as mediators, peacekeepers, and innovators. Admiral Yoshida, standing in the ruined throne room of a fallen empire, allowed herself a small smile. The war was over. The real work of building a lasting peace was just beginning. But for the first time in years, she dared to hope for a brighter future among the stars.